Coming up next,
Ed Kalegi and Karen Richmond. This is Chatterbinge.
Our next guest's new book has been described as a big-hearted new memoir and a thoroughly engaging glimpse into a colorful life well lived. That is an understatement. The new book is Uptown Girl, a memoir. She is a highly successful model, actress, author, designer, and one of the most recognizable faces in the world. It is great to say hello to Christie Brinkley. Christie, welcome to Chatterbinge.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Christie, I have to say, what I enjoyed most about your new book, Uptown Girl, is how openly, how honestly, and how refreshingly easy you tell your story from your perspective. Writing a book like this is quite a journey. So when you do this and you rewind those VHS tapes of your life that you have stored in your mind, Christie, what do you learn most about yourself?
Oh, wow. You learn a lot about yourself. You really do get into a very vulnerable state because you're putting it all out there. The good, the bad, the highs, the lows, the ups and downs, it's all there. And sometimes when you're reviewing like my journals and I'm looking at the pages and I'm thinking, how could I have stood that for so long?
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm looking and I'm going, wow, I did that. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So in the reviewing process, you really go through a lot of emotions. And some pages were pure joy to write, and some were agonizing. And I really didn't want to have to go there. But when you give the magic and the beauty and the wonderful times, you have to give the other times. Mm-hmm. You've got to give times, the bad times, because sometimes it's going through those lows that actually propel you to your next highs. And maybe because it's been an adventure of self-discovery and finding strengths that you never knew you had, or maybe it's because you're letting that bad thing that's happened, you're going to challenge it and you're going to say, no, I'm going to prove everybody wrong and I'm going to do this to prove them wrong. And you find yourself taking on a challenge that you never would have dreamed of conquering before. So in retrospect, the entire package kind of leaves you feeling actually grateful for some of the bad times, for some of those lows, because of the silver lining that you found there that helped you move into your next phase.
And I'm so glad you just said that, because as I'm reading this book last night, I'm thinking about what you were going through to be able to tell some of these stories, because you get so personal and you have been through a tremendous amount in your life. You've had enough quote unquote stuff go on in your life to last your entire life. But yet for you, there has always been this resilience, and you have grown, you have evolved from chapter to chapter. And I don't mean chapter as in the book. I mean the chapter that is Christie Brinkley's life. Within that book, your reserve of whatever the ingredient needed to be resilient is always there. What is that ingredient?
I believe that I find my power in gratitude. I really think it may sound cliche, but it is truly my well, my resource. I am so grateful for what I do have. And I always start my list with my children. In the olden days when my parents were alive, it was my parents. I start counting my children, and they're healthy and happy. And how could I want for anything more? And that gives me the strength and the power to get up and get going. I don't allow myself to feel sorry for myself because I have so much good in my life. And I think that we have to learn to count our blessings and really be really aware of, waking up healthy is such a blessing.
Yeah.
One of the hardest times in my life was when both my parents were going through catastrophic illnesses. And it was very hard to put that into perspective because they were it was their good health that I was counting as at the top of my list of blessings. So it's hard. It's really hard when someone you love is suffering. And that's one of those times that you just have to put your head down and plow ahead and try and do whatever you can to help. There is no perspective that you can find there. It's just one foot ahead of the other.
You talked about something there that I think is incredibly important, because you brought up two of the times in our adult lives that really reshape our lives. You talked about when your first child was born, and the moment you become a parent, Christie, everything changes. Your perspective changes, your priorities change, and then you talked about as your parents get old and your parents get ill. And Christie, isn't it quite an experience to have that relationship flip, sort of, and all of a sudden you're caring for them, almost in the way they cared for you way back, as you said, in the olden days. And I like how you said olden days. Christie was not born on like a Conestoga wagon. We're not going that far back, but you know what I mean. But that relationship changes, and it really defines where we are at this point in our lives, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Very much so. Very much so. And I think that, being able to bring my parents here, I built a little house for them and was able to have them close to me. And it was really the best thing I ever did, because to be able to know that you can make a difference in their life and try and in some small way repay them for everything they've done for you.
Sure.
And make sure that they know you. It makes everything else easier when they really know how much you love them. And in so many times in my life, when I'm like looking at into death's eyes, I'm like thinking, I just want everybody to know how much I love them.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. So to be able to be there for my parents at the end of their life and, be able to tell them all the time how much they mean to me and how much I love them, and is so meaningful.
Christie, you just reinforced in such a terrific way what I said earlier in our conversation about how I knew of you for all of these years, but now I've learned about you, and I've learned about the person who you are because of what you share and how you share it in the book, just like the way you're sharing in this conversation here. And in addition to the journals that you talked about, there is also this wonderful part of this book where in Uptown Girl, you share some never-before-seen artwork of yours. And I just think that's awesome. So tell me, how important is this expressive and this artistic part of your existence and your life to who you are?
Oh, I have a very strong urge to create, and I am constantly working on something, whether it's my seashell art. I like gluing seashells all over anything that holds still, or painting, which I haven't had time to paint in a while now. But when I ran out of time to paint, I started drawing in my journals, little sketches, thumbnail sketches, that I thought someday when things slow down, I'll turn these into big paintings. So I have little drawings like that to remind me of where I was, who I was with, etc. I'm always doing stuff, even like interior decorating. Like my house is also an expression of art to me. My gardens, I love gardening and creating beautiful gardens as another creative outlet. I just love doing. I'm one of those people that doesn't really, I don't think I've ever sat on a lounge chair next to my pool, ever. I go to, when everybody says, let's go to the pool, I grab my clippers and I'm standing in the flower beds around the pool, clipping this and that.
Wow. You must be tons of fun at a pool party. Christie, the steaks are done. Well, she's off pruning the bushes right now. I think that's great. I think that's awesome. Well, once again, Christie's new book is Uptown Girl, a memoir published by Harper Influence, an imprint of HarperCollins Publishers. It is available now, and it makes for an extremely interesting and enjoyable and just incredible read. Christie Brinkley, I have enjoyed this tremendously. Thank you so much for joining me here on Chatterbinge.
Thank you so much for having me, and happy reading, everybody.
Have a great day, Christie. Take care.
You too. Thank you so much.
I'm Ed Kalegi. This is Chatterbinge.
This is Chatterbinge
with Ed Kalegi and Karen Richmond.
And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can always catch our best guest conversations and segments right here on the YouTube home of Chatterbinge.